Yes, of the indomitable nature. This ground zero tree of hope will be a sign of the indomitable nature of human hope. A tree of hope, said the prophet, and a sign. Yes, of the indomitable nature, indomitable meaning unquenchable. The spirit of the bow, in the bow. What word was used for this act? You just told me kalaf, which means to exchange, to replace, to plant something in the place of another. So that's exactly what has to be fulfilled. It's not just that one tree is fallen and a new one planted, but the new tree has to be planted in the same place. The errant tree must be planted in the same place where the fallen sycamore had once stood. Now listen to the words they proclaimed that they as they gathered around the errant tree. The tree of hope is planted in the very spot where a 60-year-old sycamore stood the morning of September 11, 2001. And nobody realized that what they were doing was matching up with the prophecy? I asked. There is no one putting it all together. No one, he answered. It's an exact, precise fulfillment of the ancient vow. It's exact, and as if they're highlighting it so you can't miss it. That's the nature of harbingers. No, Nuria, they have to be made manifest. They couldn't have matched it any more precisely than if they had recited Isaiah 9:10 word for word, and nobody was trying to make it happen. They all just happened to do it. Think about it, Nuria. Who could have put it all together? The tower fell because of the terrorists. It happened to fall exactly as it did in order to strike down that one particular tree. The tree just happened to be a sycamore, which just happened to be growing at the corner of ground zero. The tree that would replace it just happened to be given as a gift from outsider who had nothing to do with anything else, but who just happened to feel led to give it. Their gift just happened to be the fulfillment of the biblical errant tree, which just happened to be the same tree spoken of in the ancient bowl. The tree that must replace the sycamore, they just happened to lower in it to the same soul in that the fallen sycamore had once stood, exactly as in the Hebrew of the ancient bowl, and the man who led the ceremony around the tree just happened to bring it all together without knowing that he was bringing anything together. No one knew what they were doing. It wasn't a matter of intent. It was the manifestation of the harbingers. It's mind-boggling, I said, and another replaying of the mystery. They were all stepping into the ancient footsteps, and they thought it was their own. It was their own, he said, but in the ancient footsteps, another piece of an ancient puzzle falling into place, another reenactment of an ancient drama of judgment. It still seems like a movie. It's still hard to believe that it's all real, that it actually happened. It all happened, and it is happening. And what's the message of the errant trees? The same message it carried to ancient Israel. The ground zero tree of hope was a sign, as it was proclaimed to be, but not of the hope they proclaimed. Instead, it was the sign of a nation's defiant rejection of God's call to return. And concerning the future, what does it mean? When you see the erez tree planted in the place of a fallen sycamore, it's an omen or warning. What does it mean for the future? One commentary on Isaiah 9:10 puts it this way: if the enemy cut down the sycamores, we will plant cedars in the room of them. We will make a hand of God's judgment, gain by them, and so outbrave them. Note, those are ripening up of pace, for ruin whose hearts are unhumbled under humbling providence, ripening a path for ruin. Then there's no hope, I asked. There is hope, said the prophet, but when a nation such as this places its hope in its own powers to save itself, then its hope is false. Its true hope is found only returning to God. Without then, its tree of hope is a harbinger of the day when its strong cedars come crashing down to the earth. He stopped walking. And now, Nuriel, we approach the last harbingers, the last two, each as closely joined to the other as the erez tree is to the sycamore. He handed me the next seal, the seal of the eighth harbinger, which I promptly examined. Its image was of some kind of platform, some kind of wide, low platform. I couldn't make anything of it beyond that. You're puzzled, he said as he saw my reaction. Yes, I replied, this one doesn't look too promising. What else do you have to go on? The words of the vow. But the vow ends with the planting of the erez tree, the cedar. There's nothing more. And what other clues do you have? I don't know. You forgot the other clues? There are only two left. It's a simple process of deduction. One is of stone. The God is stone, I replied. The other is fallen, the bricks. The bricks are fallen. One ascends, it has to be the tower. One is alive, the erez tree, and the other one was the sycamore. There are only two left, he said. Tell me again, I replied. One speaks of what is and the other of what would be. One speaks of what is and the other of what would be. Very mystical and vague. The last two harbingers are not like the others, he said, and yet like all of them. Not like the others, and yet like all of them. I have to suppose you believe you're helping me. He replied. I need something more. You're right. The last two are harder than the rest. That's the clue, I asked. And not here, but far away. Far away, far away like the mountain? Yes, as far. I asked about as far. He replied that doesn't narrow it down much. The prophecy will reveal it where it is. Yes, I don't see how. Until then, he said, and then left me there at the edge of the park. I shouted after him. You could at least say, good luck, you'll be leading it. But I don't believe in luck, Nuriel, he replied without turning back. He began crossing the street in a crowd of other pedestrians. I made my way to the start of the crossing, but went no farther. But if I don't know what I'm looking for, I shouted, how will I know it when I see it? You won't, he answered. I won't know it. No, you won't see it. And And why not? He reached the other side of the street, stopped, and turned around to face me. Why won't you see it? He shouted across the street. Yes, I shouted. Because you can't see it. It's invisible, of course. He then turned around, resumed his walking, and disappeared into the crowd.